Hey all, welcome to your Geek Report for the weeks of July 1st through July 15th, 2025. I am your host, the Shadow 00 Knight. So let's take a look at the news in the world of TV, movies, and gaming for the past 2 weeks.
Hey everyone, I hope you're doing happy. I hope you're blessed. I hope you're doing safe. I hope you're doing well. And I hope you're staying cool during this hot summer season. Welcome to your Geek Report for the weeks of July 1st through July 15th of 2025. We don't got a whole lot of news items to talk about, but let's get started. So first off, we're going to talk about the Running Man trailer. This is a reboot of the old 1980s movie The Running Man that starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, which was of course an adaptation of the book made by Stephen King. We're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm just going to give you some of my overall impressions of it and my overall thoughts on it. Then we got some anime news, which we haven't had in a while. And that is that Gate is getting a new season titled Tides of Conflict. Now, Gate was an anime that came out a couple of years ago, around 10 years ago. And on the 10th anniversary of the premiering of the first Gate series, they announced they're going to do a new series called Gate Tides of Conflict. I'm going to talk about it a little bit and just basically give you my overall impression so far of this announcement. Then we move on into gaming news, and we got some bad news this week that the Perfect Dark reboot has been canceled, and the studio, the initiative that was meant behind it, has been shut down. I'm going to talk about the shutting down of Perfect Dark, and I'm also going to talk about what's going on with all these studios and developers basically cutting projects and developers and people's jobs over the past summer. Because it seems like this summer in particular has been a complete and utter bloodbath when it comes to developers and projects being canceled or laid off. I'm going to talk about that a little bit and also give you my thoughts on the Perfect Dark reboot being canceled. So sit back, relax, grab yourself something to eat, grab yourself something to drink, and let's look at the Geek Report for the weeks of July 1st through July 15th of 2025.
Our first segment tonight is our movie and TV news segment.
So, starting off with our movie and TV segment, we're going to talk about a remake that is being made. And it's a remake of the movie The Running Man starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. And as I was researching this, I found out that that movie was an adaptation of a book written by Stephen King. Now, we all know Stephen King. He does like horror and, those type of books. But every now and then he would kind of branch off a little bit. And he did a book called The Running Man. Well, that was made into the movie that starred Arnold Schwarzenegger. And now they're doing another remake of it called The Running Man. And this one's being done by Edward Wright and stars Glenn Powell. We're going to take a look at this trailer because they just dropped the first trailer this past 2 weeks. And I'm going to give you some of my thoughts and opinions on it. But this here is the trailer for the upcoming movie, The Running Man.
Ben Richards, 35, married, one child.
Now, the first thing I like is the fact that they are keeping Ben Richards. Okay? They are keeping Ben Richards the name. In the original, Ben Richards, it starred Arnold Schwarzenegger as Ben Richards. But they are keeping the name Ben Richards, which I think kind of tells me already they are trying to follow the path of the movie and the book. Okay, they're not trying to stray too far off from it.
In medical crisis.
We need money for a doctor now.
Ben, watch yourself.
Now, this right here is not like the original. In the original movie, Ben Richards was accused of a war crime. Okay? Here, it seems like he's a family man. Okay? Like he's just trying to get by in this world that looks like it's falling apart. Okay? I mean, the world literally looks like it's falling apart. If you just look right here, I mean, it looks like the entire world is falling apart, okay? Which was basically what the original was, okay? A dystopian future where everything is falling apart, okay? But, yeah, like, they've changed it up a little bit to where Ben Richards is not some great soldier. At least in the trailer, he ain't. That might change with another trailer. But in the trailer, he's just a family man trying to get by. His child is sick, and they need medical attention for him, and all that. So that's kind of a change from the original movie. Now, I've never read the book, so a lot of my observations will come from the 1987 movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. But that's kind of a change from that. Although, if they do another trailer, that might change if they do kind of add more to his backstory.
In medical crisis.
We need money for a doctor now.
Ben, watch yourself.
Employment status. Blacklisted. But there's still a way out for you.
Now, the first thing I noticed is that on this screen right here, you see her holding up the money. And you see that it has Arnold Schwarzenegger's face on it. That's a major throwback to the original movie. Okay? Now, this could be one of two things. This just could be like an Easter egg for people who have seen the original and just kind of a callback to it. Okay? I will full on admit that. This could just be a callback to it. Or they could be doing something where this kind of links to the original in some way, shape, or form. Okay? Now, unless they changed Arnold Schwarzenegger's name in this movie, alright, I don't really see how they could do that because his name was Ben Richards in the original, and you got Ben Richards here, so it would be kind of confusing. So I'm suspecting that if they did go that route, where they did somehow connect it to the original, okay, then they would obviously change Arnold Schwarzenegger's name and all that, okay? Make him another character. But I do find it kind of cool that they did do kind of a throwback to the original by putting his face on the money.
It's the biggest show in the country.
Now, another thing I'm noticing is that they're keeping the TV show theme, okay? They're literally keeping the TV show theme and making it seem more like Survivor or American Ninja Warrior or something like that. Okay?
Bloodlust is our birthright! Set it free! Welcome to the Running Man!
People on these games never come back.
I'm not trying to get myself killed, so kiss my ass twice.
Right there is why you can win.
And already they're kind of taking things up to another notch with the hardcore stuff. Alright? Now, in the original, Arnold Schwarzenegger was hardcore, but he didn't say stuff like that. Okay? He made like quippy one-liners and whatnot, but he didn't say stuff like that. So they're obviously taking things up a notch. And there you see Josh Brolin's character. He's apparently like the president or the producer of this show and this network. So, yeah, they're taking things up a notch in terms of just the material they have, And it ain't just going to be quippy one-liners. It's going to be full-on hardcore stuff.
In this game, the rules are simple. Survive 30 days with the entire nation hunting you down. And get your family out of Slumside for good.
Okay, so first off, Edgar Wright, he's doing this, and all that. So this here is Edgar Wright. He's an English director, screenwriter, and he's known for his comedic movies like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End. Okay, so based on that, what we're going to see is a little bit of comedy and some very physical action. Okay, now I don't know him from action films. I really do hope that the comedy doesn't outweigh the action, because the original was not a comedic film. Okay, it was an action film. Okay, it had a little comedy in it every now and then, but it was mainly serious. Okay, and I really don't want the comedy to kind of get in the way of the action and just make the whole film goofy. That's really a problem I have right now. Now, that's not to say that Edgar Wright is a bad director or anything. You know, Hot Fuzz, At World's End, all great movies, all comedic movies. I just hope that the comedy does not, get in the way of the action and it doesn't become some big goof. When the original was not anything but goofy, it was a serious film with a little bit of comedy in it.
I'm gonna come back here and burn this building down.
Now this movie, the way they got this trailer made out, it's like he is basically trying to earn enough money so that way his kid can get out of wherever they're at and give her some help, give her some medical help. But this scene right here kind of calls that into question, okay, making me wonder, like, what else is going on? Because it looks like he's a prisoner in this scene. Now, this could be the entryway scene where they first take him out onto the stage, and that's just the way they're dressed up, so that way they can't escape, and that's what all that is about, okay? But it does kind of make me wonder if maybe he ain't going to be forced to do the show, not just by the family issues, but by some type of criminal issues.
And burn this building down. I promise. That's the spirit.
This is America, goddammit! And we don't put up with no bullshit!
Now, this scene right here brings back shades of the original. Because in the original, when you release someone into what was, at that time, the arena, okay? They basically were shot out using these tubes, okay? Well, that's what this is doing. This is bringing back shades of that. So they're keeping that in there. The whole, like, launching them out thing. But the thing that I'm kind of curious about is, like, in the original, there was no time limit. You had to get across what they called the zone at the time to basically win your freedom. Now they're saying that you have to survive 30 days across the country. Okay, so what's going on here? How are they going to do 30 days for a 2-hour movie? That's something that's got me kind of curious. Now, I'm assuming these are the hunters. Okay, they have not given the names for these hunters, but I'm assuming these are the hunters. In the original, you had, Sub-Zero, you had Buzzsaw, you had Captain Dynamo, and there was another one played by Jesse Ventura. I can't remember his name. Was it Captain Freedom? I can't remember his name, but anyway, they had hunters in the zone that basically all they did was hunt after the Running Man, okay? So these are obviously the hunters.
Hunt him down! Stop filming me!
Have you ever wondered?
Now, this scene right here, I'm assuming they're bringing back the whole resistance aspect of the original because of the simple fact that basically in the original, you had this resistance that wanted to bring down this TV network because they were basically brainwashing people. Okay? And they had to get them codes, and all this other stuff. So I'm assuming this is some type of resistance right here.
You might be moving up too fast. Hey, buddy. You're on Freebie. You better run!
I got a grenade!
Back at you.
I'm still here, you shit eaters.
So that was the trailer for The Running Man. Let me just say this, okay? So that was a trailer for The Running Man. Let me just say this, okay? It looks to be a decent trailer. It looks to be a really good trailer, okay? But here's my issue, is I don't want, like, all the comedy and stuff to kind of overshadow the action. The original Running Man was a great action film, okay, and knew when to be serious, and it had these little moments of comedy in it, okay? Just these little tiny moments of that kind of made you laugh or smile. Edgar Wright's known for, like, The World's End and all that stuff. And I don't want the comedy to overshadow the action. Okay? It was a good trailer, and it's got me kind of interested in seeing it. Okay? But I'm just kind of wondering, like, is the comedy going to overshadow the action? That's my main concern. Okay? Because I want this to be a fun action film, not a comedy with a little action in it. Okay? That's what I want. I want this to be a fun action film, not a comedy film with a little bit of action in it. That's my main concern with this. But that was the trailer for The Running Man. It stars Edgar Wright and Glenn Powell. It is going to be in theaters November 7th, which I think is cool. Okay. But like I said, outside of, like, the general questions about the story I have, my main concern is that they're going to make this a comedy film with a little bit of action in it, when what I want is an action film with just a little bit of comedy in it. Just a fun action film, not a comedic film with a little bit of action in it. If they can strike a good balance between the comedy and action, I will be a happy camper. But yeah, this is something I'm going to keep my eyes open for. And I really do hope they do justice to both the original movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and the book by Stephen King.
Now let's take a look at the news from the world of anime that piqued my interest this week.
So, moving on to our next story, we've got some anime news, okay? And I've decided to kind of fold my anime news and my movie and TV news together, okay? But, moving on, we got some anime news, okay? And let me just be clear, okay? I want a second season of this anime. And the anime I'm specifically talking about is Gate. I loved Gate, okay? I thought Gate was a great anime, and I loved it. You know, the whole idea of a world of magic and wizards and dragons and elves and that sort of thing suddenly combining with the world of technology and jets and computers and all that is really interesting to me, okay? And Gate has some great characters. It has some great moments in it. I mean, the original Gate had some great moments into it. I mean, Rory Mercury's speech to the Diet was a great moment, okay? The rescue of the anti-war people from the capital of the empire by the Japanese Self-Defense Force was another great moment. The Battle of Italica was another great moment, okay? Gate had some great moments in it. It had a great story, and it had great sub-stories to it also. I mean, one sub-story, you had the Empire kind of going through the changes brought out by the Gate. Another sub-story, you had Tuca trying to come to terms with the death of her father. You have the Lei trying to understand all the people. I mean, it has some great stories in it. But the basic story of the anime Gate was you had this world ruled by magic and sorcery and dragons and all that. And suddenly a gate opens up into the modern world. And they invade the modern world, and obviously with the modern world being what it is, having rifles and bombs and whatnot, they beat back the invaders and they invade through the gate, and they kind of set up a outpost where the gate is. Okay, they set up an outpost there, and they start, making both friends and enemies in this world ruled by magic and sorcery and all that. And they meet some people along the way. They meet Lele, the wizard in training, I should say. They meet Tuka. She was an elf whose father sacrificed himself for her. They meet Rory Mercury, otherwise known as Rory the Reaper, who is basically an apostle to this death god Emery. Okay? They meet these great characters. In the Japanese Self-Defense Force, you had Itami, who loved anime and otaku. You had, Kobayashi, who was this female, but was such a kick-butt person. I mean, one of my favorite moments with Kobayashi, and I'm probably butchering that name, but one of my favorite moments was when the Prince of the Empire brought in a slave from Japan and was basically beating the tar out of her. And Kobayashi basically kicks all his guards' butts and just lays into him like it's nobody's business. Just hitting him over and over again. And it's a moment like, yes, And it was a great series. And it ended on a great moment, And Tommy came back to the home world, the modern world. And he went to a anime convention and was stopped by Mercury, Luna, and Lele. Okay? I mean, it's that simple. It ended on a great note. So that's why this news around a, second season of Gate is kind of concerning to me. Because I felt that the first series, really ended on a good note. It tied everything up. Yeah, there were still a few questions left, like how long is the gate going to stay open? What caused the gate to go to this world and that world and all that stuff. Okay, there were still those little questions, but it ended on a good note, and I really do think it tied up a lot of the major threads. Okay, but they did announce that there will be a new season of Gate, and they're calling it Tides of Conflict. And I'm going to tell you why that's very important, the name. Gate 2 Tides of Conflict. That's going to be the official name of the new season. So, in the original Gate, okay, the original one, what we had was a very army-centrist story. It was the army that came through the gate. It was the army that flew the missions. Tommy was a member of the army. Okay. Tides of Conflict, based on what I'm reading here, is going to be more Navy-centric. Okay. Now, this is a problem for me on one hand because the place where the gate opened up at, there was no ocean. So either they dug some type of canal to where they had some type of river going to this outpost, or there's a second option, and that is that there was a city in the original gate called Rondo, and it was bordering an ocean, okay, and it was a city of learning where wizards go to become master wizards and that sort of thing, okay. So that could also be happening. That somehow Japan made a deal with Rondo to perhaps either fly a ship there and launch it from there, or to actually build a ship from Rondo, okay? And what you see here are some of the new characters coming. We've got Tokushima Hajime, we got Adajima Goro, we got Prima Luna Avion, Odette Zay Nebula, Shura, No Arch. I mean, these are the new characters, at least some of the new characters, okay? Now, let me say, I don't really have a problem with a more Navy-centrist Gate. I think it could actually be very cool because we'll see more of this world. We didn't see a whole lot of this world except what was around the outpost that the JSDF, the Japan Self-Defense Force, had made. You know, we saw Italica, we saw the capital of the Empire, we saw Rondo, we saw the land of the Dark Elves. So I really don't have a problem with exploring more of this world through the eyes of, say, a ship or the Navy, okay? But here's where my problem comes up. If you scroll down here, okay, alright, and it talks about who will be producing the new anime series. Alright, and it also talks about there being a website for it. So this here is the website for Gate 2, Tides of Conflict. And the website for it is gate2.oshi.co. And you scroll down here and it talks about how it emerged from the light novel to the anime. And that talks about not only the original Gate, but this new Gate 2. There you've got the first image of it. You know, you've got the ships in the background. Now this kind of tells me right here that they are going to have a mix of like wooden sail ships, but also modern ships. And if I didn't know any better, I'm starting to suspect that, but because of the fact that there is that submarine behind the main characters, that perhaps what we're seeing is this whole series is going to be centered around this crew of that submarine. Okay? I'm kind of wondering if that's what's going to be. That the submarine is in this new world, and that this whole crew is going to be serving on that submarine, while everyone else is serving on like wooden ships and whatnot. Now, over in the right-hand corner, you see a city. Now, I'm looking at this city, and that does not look like Rondo, because Rondo had like high towers and everything. So we could be looking at another city, okay? We could be looking at a different city than Rondo, okay? And, you know, here we got probably the villains right here. You know, they're dressed in red, so there's that. And there you've got all the physical copies of Gate 2, Tides of Conflict, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and we got the first images of the characters, which we already saw earlier. And then we got a message from the author of the light novel series. And it says here, as the sun rises in the east and sets in the sea of the west, crossing distant time, crossing gates, setting out into the world in leather boots, it brings me great honor to announce the anime adaptation of Gate 2, Tides of Conflict. This story is built word by word with my own thoughts and emotions poured into each stroke of the pen. To all the creators who are bringing this world to life with sound and color, breathing life into it with brush and tool, my deepest gratitude goes out to you. I hope this story becomes a wind that soars across Japan, the East, and the West, and beyond the rest of the world. And so I humbly ask all of you to receive it into your hearts across time and space. And there's the author, and I'm not even going to try to say that name. But I like the fact, I like this statement, okay? This ain't some boilerplate statement from a Hollywood studio that says, oh, please watch our series. He's basically just saying, look, I put my heart and my soul into this. You know, it really feels like he wrote this, okay? And it's like, I put my heart and soul into this. I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into every bit of the story of this. And now it's being brought to TV, and I hope you guys enjoy it. He's not sitting there saying, you're going to enjoy it or else you are A, B, C, and D. He's just basically saying, please enjoy this. And if not, I hope you do find something you enjoy, but I poured my heart and soul into this, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay? He's not sitting there playing the blame game or using, you know, this and that to make you like it. Okay? I like this statement. Okay? Because it's not trying to use guilt to get you to like this series. It's just saying from the author, I poured my heart and my soul into this. I hope you enjoy it. You know, and I hope that it goes all over the world and brings joy to others. They weren't trying to use guilt, or if this was written by Hollywood or someone like that, I know for a fact, because we've seen these types of statements before, where they try to use guilt or this or that to get you to like a series. And if you don't, you're this or that. This wasn't that at all. And that is a major difference between, Japanese studios and studios here in Hollywood, okay? But like I said, I like this statement. I think it's a good statement, and it really does show that he wants people to like this, and if you don't, okay, he doesn't really care, but he wants people to like this because he put his blood, sweat, and tears into this, okay? So continuing on, they talk about awards tiers for contributors, and I'm not sure what all this is about. And, these are the people behind it. You've got Studio M2. And it was made by Maso Maruhama. I hope I'm saying that right. He co-founded Madhouse. He did Hunter x Hunter, Death Note, and Perfect Blue. Then you got associate producer Genko. They did Millennium Actress. They also did the global phenomenon Sword Art Online. Oh, heck yes. And they also did the episode Gate, thus the JSDF fought there, which was the very first episode of the original series. And you got some of the staff right here. You got Toro Takahashi, Shigeru Fujita, Tatsuhiro Urata. So starting with Toro Takahashi, he is best known for Revolutionary Girl Utena, High School of the Dead. Okay, I'm already just knowing what this guy worked on is already getting me, because I absolutely love High School of the Dead, and he also did Overlord. Now I've never seen Overlord, but I heard good things of Overlord. Let's see what else he done here. He has done Lupin the Third, High School of the Dead, and he did Ninja Scroll the series as director. Let's see here, and that's really all I got for director of him. Okay, so that's one of the people behind Gate 2. And then another person behind Gate 2 is Shigeru Fujita. He's known for Summer Wars, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. Okay, another anime I like. And just some of the things he's done. He's done The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Perfect Blue. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, I'm seeing if there's anything I recognize here. Okay. Okay, he did Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence. Okay. He was also part of Ninja Scroll the series. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it. He did Vampire the Bloodlust. He did Card Captor Sakura, the Sealed Card. That was one of the earliest anime movies I watched. So, already. He did Card Captor Sakura. He did Pat Labor too. Oh, yes. Let's see here. And that's really all they got for him on that. So the fact that we've got one guy who has done High School of the Dead, and we got the other guy doing Pat Labor too, it's kind of upping my excitement a little bit for this series. Okay? Now, the next guy they got for this series is Tatsuhiko Urata. And I don't know any of these animes he's known for, but let's see what else he's done. So, he's done, let's see, I know of Spice and Wolf, but I've never seen it. He done Baki. Baki is kind of like a real violent fighting anime. Oh, he did Violet Evergarden? Okay. He did the Violet Evergarden movie. Eternity and the Auto Memory Doll. Okay. That was a pretty good anime movie. He did Violet Evergarden. Okay. Okay, Violet Evergarden was a good series. Let's see here. He did Gate. Okay, he worked on Gate. Let's see here. I'm trying to see what else he did. He did Gunslinger Girl 2. Okay. Number 2 is not as good as number 1, but it was pretty decent. Okay. Let's see. He did... Is there anything else? He did Beyblade. I've never watched Beyblade. It came on a long time ago, but, I never watched it. Cardcaptor Sakura, that's back. Okay, well, he did that one as well. Let's see here. And that's all I know from him in terms of what all he's been a part of, in terms of the anime he's done. So, we've got people behind High School of the Dead, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. We've got people behind Cardcaptor Sakura. We've got people behind Cardcaptor Sakura and the Sealed Card. I mean, we've got a pretty good people behind this so far. But after seeing this, my excitement's gotten a little bit more decent. Okay, this is just about the announcement. And this announcement does come 10 years after the original. So that's going to be something else. And that's the end of the website for Gate 2 Ties of Conflict. Now, since reading who's all behind this, my excitement has grown a little bit. Okay. But then I read this and I kind of get my expectations under control a little bit. And this is what it says. Okay, it says who's behind it. Okay. As of the time of this writing, it has yet to be revealed if any of the cast members from the first season will be coming back for their respective roles. Given that it seems to be tackling a whole new series, and seeming like a new TV anime series overall rather than the second season, there's likely going to be some big changes. Now, this is still an early announcement. I understand that, okay? This is still an early announcement. I understand that, okay? But they really need to bring back some of the old cast. And they need to bring back some of the old characters. You can't have a Gate series without Rory Mercury, or Tuca Luna, or Lele, or Itami, or Pina Colada, okay? You just can't, okay? So, the fact that they have not announced any of the returning cast has given me kind of pause a little bit. Even though this is led by some people who know what they're doing, because they did High School of the Dead, Vampire Hunter D, Cardcaptor Sakura, Violet Evergarden, they have not made an announcement on what characters are going to be returning from the original. Okay? And the fact that it is taking 10 years after the original did happen, I'm assuming it's going to take place 10 years after the original. Because the announcement came 10 years after the original first aired. So I'm assuming there's going to be a 10-year time jump. It's kind of worrying for me a little bit. Because, I want some of the original characters to come back. Okay? And if they're not going to do like a time jump, okay, fine. But I suspect they will do a time jump. So on one hand, I want the characters to return back with their voice actors, okay? And that's really what that was talking about, was the original voice actors for Rory Mercury, Lele, Tuca, Pina Colada, etc. Okay, that's really what it was talking about. But I really want them to come back, and I really want there to be some type of explanation as to the original Gate. What's happened in however long they're going to do a time jump of the original. And they definitely got to bring back some of the characters. I know this is going to be a more naval focused series. That it's going to focus more on the Navy, say, than the Army, like the original series. I get that, okay? But you gotta have some of the returning characters, okay? And the fact that they did not announce that has given me kind of pause a little bit, because you cannot have a Gate series without having maybe Rory Mercury or Lele or Tuca or Pina Colada in some way, shape, or form. Even the Knights of the Rose, which was involved with Pina Colada, not having them involved in that is giving me kind of pause a little bit. Okay, so on one hand, I'm very excited because it's got people who did High School of the Dead. It's got people that did Cardcaptor Sakura, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. It's got people who did Violet Evergarden. Okay, so it's got that going for it. But on the other hand, where are the returning characters? Where's some of the returning cast? Okay, that's something I want. Okay, I mean, if you can't get the returning cast, fine. Just get the returning characters at least. Okay, and I'm not saying that they be in every single episode, but they need to be in the first couple of episodes to kind of reintroduce people to Gate. Because it's been 10 years, okay? And I just watched it on Hulu, and it has some great episodes in it, okay? And people can watch it over on Hulu and Crunchyroll and whatnot. But to people who have not seen the original, you've got to have these original characters kind of reintroduce them into this world. So, what do I think of this news? Okay, I mean, really, what do I think of the news that we are getting a new Gate series? Okay, and by all accounts, this is meant to be a standalone series from the original Gate. That you're going to have the original Gate series, and then you're going to have Gate's Tides of Conflict, which can kind of be watched together, but one can be watched separately from the other. Okay? On one hand, I'm excited because it's got people behind High School of the Dead. It's got people behind Violet Evergarden, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, Pat Labor 2. I mean, it's got some notable people who did notable anime behind it, okay? On the other hand, you're to the returning people, you're introducing new characters. You are making it more Navy-centric, okay? And the fact that it didn't announce any returning characters or returning cast for that members has kind of given me pause a little bit. The fact that it did not announce any returning characters or cast members is giving me pause a little bit. So we're going to have to wait for more information to come out about this before any type of determination can be made. But let me say, I think this will probably turn out to be good, okay? I think that they will bring back some of the characters, but the fact that they didn't announce it right now at the announcement, it's kind of giving me pause a little bit because, these characters are known for Gate, okay? And you can't really have a Gate series without them. So I really do hope that we do see, Rory Mercury, Lele, Tuca, Pina Colada, maybe even a Tommy and Kobayashi. I want to see at least some of these returning characters come back in the first couple of episodes to at least introduce people to this world. Okay? Don't just throw people into this world. That would be a mistake. They got to reintroduce them into this world. But after that, make it about the new characters. Make it about the new characters that are being introduced, not the old ones. And that's really what's giving me pause about this series right now, is the fact that they did not announce any of the characters returning that we know from Gate. All they announced was some new characters, and that's kind of giving me pause a little bit. But it does got some notable names behind it. People who have done notable anime like Violet Evergarden and Pat Labor, and they've done Cardcaptor Sakura, High School of the Dead. So on that front, there is people who know what they're doing behind it. But on the other front, they didn't announce any returning characters, and that's kind of giving me pause a little bit. But hopefully, More information will come out as the year progresses. Hopefully when we get a trailer, it'll show some of the returning characters. And hopefully we'll get some type of information about a time jump or not. I suspect there will be a time jump. But overall, a good announcement. A good, basically a good thing for Gate. Is we're getting a new Gate series called Tides of Conflict. We're getting some new characters. We're going to see more of this world. And overall, I am going to be keeping my eye open for this.
Now, moving on from the world of TV and movies, let's look at what happened this week in the world of video games.
So, now we move on to gaming news. And only one story kind of piqued my interest these past 2 weeks. And this year, ladies and gentlemen, seems like a culling for developers and developers, studios, and games in general. Last year, we got a trailer for a game called Perfect Dark. And it looked to be a decent trailer, okay? But this past week, we found out that the developer behind that trailer and that game, Perfect Dark, has been shut down, and the Perfect Dark reboot has been canceled. And this is coming from IGN, and it says that the troubled Perfect Dark reboot is canceled, and the Xbox studio, The Initiative, the people behind it, has been shut down amid devastating layoffs sweeping across Microsoft. The Perfect Dark's demise comes as part of what is fast becoming a bloodbath at Microsoft, with reports suggesting that over 9,000 staff at the company are set to lose their jobs. Sources have told IGN that Where's Everwild is cancelled as layoffs hit the legendary UK studio. Candy Crush was also hit hard, as is Bethesda's London office. Confirmed that Everwild and Perfect Dark's cancellation, and said the company was winding down several unannounced projects. Let's see. I want to share more changes to the studio's business, and this is the announcement right here. We have made a decision to stop development of Perfect Dark and Everwild as we wound down several unannounced projects. As part of this, we are closing one of our studios, The Initiative. These decisions, along with other changes across our team, reflect a broader effort to adjust priorities and focus resources to set up our team for greater success within the changing industry landscape. We did not make these choices lightly, as each project and team represent years of effort, imagination, and commitment. And this ain't the only studio that's doing this right now. I mean, if you go to Google, okay, you see that Microsoft has laid off over 9,000 people across the entire company, that they've made significant cuts to Blizzard, Rare, and Turn 10. They shut down The Initiative, and they've also done cuts on Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks. That Sony has shut down Firewalk Studios, which developed Concord, and Savage Game Studios. That Activision Blizzard cut 1,900 people as part of that big Microsoft cut. That 1,800 employees were cut from Unity. Laid off around 7,761 employees from the Embracer Group. And there's been a ton of just companies just shutting down games and laying off people. I mean, this entire year has been nothing but a bloodbath when it comes to studios and games, okay? And I'm worried that this could be a part of a bigger effort, okay? But yeah, back to like what I was talking about, what kind of caused this rant a little bit. Perfect Dark has been canceled. The Initiative has been closed down. And it's not the only ones. And I don't think it will be the only ones. I think there's going to be more. I think we have not even seen the tip of the iceberg yet. Okay? I think when people look back on 2025, they're going to look back on this year in gaming as the year the reckoning came for all the nonsense the gaming industry has done over the past 4 years. So everyone, that was your Geek Report for the weeks of July 1st through July 15th of 2025. To kind of go over what we talked about, we first talked about the new Running Man trailer. Now, I told you what this was. This was basically a reboot of the original movie that had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, which of course was an adaptation of the book by Stephen King. I gave you some of my thoughts and impressions on it, and just my overall feelings about it. Then we got some anime news that Gate, a anime that came out in 2015, is getting a new season called Tides of Conflict. And I gave you some of my overall impressions of it and just my overall thoughts on it. Then we moved on into gaming news, and we talked about the Perfect Dark reboot being canceled. And we also talked about all these developers and projects just being cut this year, and how 2025 seems to be a more worser year when it comes to developers and publishers losing their jobs and projects being cut unexpectedly. It seems to be worser this year than most years. Okay? And I kind of talked about that a little bit and gave you my overall thoughts on it. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy. I hope you guys are staying cool during this hot weather, and I hope you guys are doing groovy. Check out some of my other video and my social media sites at the end of this video. I will see you guys in the next video and in the next stream. Laters.
Thank you for watching this week's Geek Report. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check out my other video sites as well as my social media. And if you can please, leave a like and a comment on this video. We will see you guys in the next video and the next stream. Laters.